Good morning on this Thursday of the fifth week of Easter. Peter's speech comes at the end of the debate concerning Gentile circumcision and what requirements of the Deuteronomic law Gentiles will be held to by Jesus. Peter, as the first pope, is being called out by the psalmist. Proclaim God's marvelous deeds to all the nations. Announce salvation, tell his glory, tell his wondrous deeds. He governs with equity. He has made the world. Peter is being persuasive, precisely because he still lived as a Jew, and yet as a Jew was chosen as God's instrument to proclaim the gospel to the Gentiles. God, through him, has shown three things to his chosen people. First, that salvation is a free gift from God given to everyone. Second, that goodness lies in the heart. And third, that Christ unmasks fleshly distinctions to reveal in himself the unity of humanity in grace. All are given grace. Peter's speech stresses the power of faith and reveals to his Jewish listeners their own failure to live by the Mosaic law. And so if they have failed, what makes them think that they deserve the kingdom of heaven even before a Gentile? This faith, however, is not a mere acknowledgement of the one God or of Jesus as his Son. The goodness that lies in the heart, the gift of salvation, comes from a faith that overflows in love today and hopes one day to see God face to face based on that love. The insistence on the part of certain Jewish Christians that they set the standard for conversion through obedience to the law implies a questioning of God's actions among the Gentiles, and is a dangerous attitude. God, in revealing in Christ the gift of his saving grace, the ability to believe and love given to all, has made known that this same grace was always present among the Jewish people, and to it the law and prophets bore witness, though these people were not that grace's mediator. Jesus is the mediator of grace. Jesus decides that all get it. Jesus sets the standard for salvation. Jesus shows no discrimination in who receives grace. All receive the ability to believe and love God, and the choice to do so. Faith in God purifies the heart. The pure heart sees God. But faith is sometimes defined as followed by people who wish to deceive themselves, as if it were enough merely to believe. Some people, you see, promise themselves the vision of God and the kingdom of heaven simply for believing, while living bad and questionable lives. Against these, the Apostle James indignantly took offense out of spiritual charity. So he says in his letter, "You believe that God is one? You pat yourself on your back for your faith? You observe that many godless people assume there are many gods, and you congratulate yourself for believing that there is only one God? You do well. The demons also believe and shudder. Shall they see God too? Those who are pure of heart shall see him. Whoever would say that the unclean spirits are pure of heart, and yet they believe and shudder. Just so our faith must be distinguished from the faith of demons. Our faith, you see, purifies the heart. Their faith makes them guilty. So let's distinguish our faith and see that believing is not enough. That is not the sort of faith that purifies the heart. Purifying their hearts, it says, by faith. But which faith? What sort of faith? The one surely which the Apostle Paul defines when he says, Faith that works through love. This faith is different from the faith of demons, different from the morals of dissolute and despaired people. Faith, he says, which faith? The one that works through love, hopes for what God promises. You could not have a more perfect or a more carefully thought out definition of love than that, of faith than that. Now, if observing the commandments were the essential sign of faith, it must be very greatly feared that without love, even the most effective action of the glorious gifts of grace, even of the most sublime powers, and even of faith itself, and the commandment that makes a person perfect, will not be of help if I don't have love. It is evident, therefore, and undeniable that without charity, without love, even though ordinances are obeyed and righteous acts are performed, even though the commandments of the Lord have been observed and great wonders of grace effected, they will be considered as works of iniquity, because those who perform these acts have as their aim the gratification of their own will. They want heaven, so they perform actions. And if heaven can be purchased by actions, no. We perform actions because we love, because we believe, because we hope to be with the one we love. We perform actions impelled by love. And what else is Christ's joy in us except that he is pleased to rejoice over us who act out of love? And what is this joy of ours? That he says is to be made full, but our having fellowship with him, loving others as he loved us. His joy, therefore, in us is the grace he has bestowed on us, and that is also our joy. God's grace, freely bestowed, blooms forth in faith, blossoms into works performed out of love for God and neighbor. In 1 Corinthians, Paul describes various spiritual gifts and ways we can demonstrate godly living in the world. He touches on the gifts of tongues, prophecy, with understanding and faith that could move mountains. Yet somehow he passes all of these things for just one thing: love. In 1 Corinthians 13:13, he says, 3 things will last forever: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Go out, therefore, and love your neighbor as yourself, and love the Lord your God with your whole heart, your whole mind, your whole soul.